The death toll in the Syria-Turkey earthquake now climbing to above 7,200. It climbs by the minute, it seems. And joining us live now, CNN reporter Beckey Anderson in Gaziantep in Turkey. Beckey, thank you so much for your time this evening. How can you describe to us what you're seeing, the absolute devastation that you are seeing at the moment?
It's absolutely heartbreaking, and the numbers that you've just described are likely to go much, much higher if the scene behind me is anything to go by. As we understand it, there are about 150 people in the building that used to exist, where you just see rubble now. When the quake struck at 4:15 in the morning on Monday morning, bitterly cold and raining here. The building next to it is indicative of what that building used to look like, and that is now there are some concerns that that building is very damaged and could actually come down at some point. But what's happening behind me here is that this 7-story building is completely collapsed. As we understand it, there has been sign of life this afternoon, so this still remains a search and rescue operation, which provides some hope for the many family members who are gathered here around the fires, just hoping against hope that somebody will be pulled out alive. They have heard signs of life this afternoon. They are digging with diggers, with drills. There is some heavy lifting equipment, but I can tell you they're also using spades and their hands. That's how delicate the operation gets at times. They then stop, turn all the machinery off, call for quiet when they believe they may have heard a voice. And that did happen a number of times this afternoon. Sadly, we've been here since they pulled one body out, somebody who didn't survive. But as I say, at least 15 people. Just got to move away because there's one of the lorries here, which is actually taking away the debris, just pulling in. But yeah, I mean, it's a search and rescue operation until they are completely convinced there is nobody else left to pull out alive. And while there is hope, the rescue workers here, some of whom have been working now for upwards of 40 hours, will continue this heavy work. And this is a similar scene to my right-hand side and further down the road to the left as well. Gaziantep, as a city, which is where we are, is close to the epicenter. There are other towns, as we understand it, which are worse hit than Gaziantep. Most of this city has actually remained intact, but there are pockets like these which are absolutely devastated. And it is just so distressing to see it, to witness it, and to imagine what people here are going through.
And Beckey, with these things, there can always be aftershocks that come in days following. Your camera just panned to the side there, and we see, I'm assuming, some locals there. Is there a sense of anxiety that there could be more shakes to come? What's the atmosphere like?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, there's been more than 100 aftershocks since 4:15 a.m. Monday morning. It's now 10 at night on Tuesday, a couple since we've just been here in situ in Gaziantep. We got in about 6 or 7 hours ago. One of those shakes, one of the quakes that was felt just before we arrived here in Gaziantep earlier on today, Tuesday, was nearly as big as the initial quake of 7.8 magnitude, which is huge. It's the biggest they've had in this region, which is prone to earthquakes, the biggest they've had in 100 years. And so people are obviously extremely concerned about going back into their homes if they've got a home. One of the buildings just down the road, about 50 yards from here, they've stopped the search and rescue operation because they're too concerned that the building is about to come down. There are, as we understand it, still 20 people unaccounted for in that building, and that is what is so sad. They pulled out 4 people earlier on alive from that building, a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and 2 adults, but they've had to call a halt to the operation because the building is simply too insecure. I mean, obviously, the search and rescue teams are in huge danger as they continue this. Just on this site behind me, if you can see, there's a building to the right-hand side, which is by no means robust, nor is this building to the left-hand side. So the search and rescue teams are in danger. It's massively challenging for them. And obviously for the people who either live here or are here hoping that their relatives will be retrieved. They don't want to go back inside. I mean, there's no heating in Gaziantep tonight. There is electricity. There was no bread or water yesterday, Monday. There is actually food around, and it's been so heartening to see people coming around with soup, with coffee, with water, with bars of chocolate, just to ensure that people have got something here as they await the news from the site. But yeah, I mean, people are really frightened, and that's just here. And as I say, I think we must spare a thought for the people in towns beyond here, where some of the search and rescue teams haven't got to yet. I mean, I flew in with a team from the UAE. They've brought in a field hospital, and they are yet to get up to some of the worst affected areas. I've got a colleague in one of those areas, and he said it's just absolutely shocking what he has seen. He's seeing this repeated, time and time and time again. And then, of course, just 100 kilometres south of here into Syria, the northwest of Syria has been really badly damaged. Idlib, which is opposition-controlled, and the government-controlled Aleppo, where we were told today there's no heating, there's no water, electricity, gas or fuel, and there are people whose homes have just been completely flattened who are taking refuge in the buildings that do still exist. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we know that more than 7,000 people have lost their lives. Tens of thousands are injured. At least 5,000 buildings have come down in Turkey alone.
Yeah, and this obviously leads to a huge humanitarian crisis after this too. Beckey Anderson, really appreciate your reporting there from Gaziantep in Turkey. Thank you so much. We will talk to you again soon. Frightening, devastating, the whole lot. But as Beckey said there, it's still hopeful that there is a rescue operation that can be conducted. Well, it puts things into perspective, doesn't it, folks?